I hope you all had a fantastic trading week, and with that being said, let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Starting the weekly Forex Forecast off with the US dollar index, the DXY. Just going to do a top-down approach here. Remember, we are sideways on the weekly chart. We do not have a weekly trend. We were really hoping for some sort of weekly trend here by breaking the low there, or breaking the low to create, the high up here and the low down here to either create a trend to the upside or the downside, but there is no trend on the weekly, so it's not super clear what is going on. However, on the daily chart, it's pretty clear what we have here, and in my opinion, this is a downtrend. I don't think anybody would call this an uptrend. Yes, when you look at the most recent price action right here, we have seen price go from about 102 up to back above 103. So we have seen some momentum to the upside, and the big question now is, will price be pulling up to this daily supply at 104? I personally think if we do pull up to there, we will react to the downside off of this supply. And if we don't, if we break that supply, there is one that's a little bit better above. So there's two supply zones here in the daily chart. If we do continue to push up, that I think we will struggle to get above and most likely react off. Just based on the daily trend, I am expecting these supply zones to hold if we do get up to those daily areas of demand. Now on the 1 hour chart on the bottom right, you can see we had a beautiful uptrend. It was looking like we were going to go up, but we have broken below the trend to the upside. So to me, we are seeing some bearishness now in the dollar. If we push up above this trend line again and break the high here, in my opinion, that'll signal that we will be going up to daily supply. But in the meantime, we have lost momentum here in the 1 hour chart, so we could actually see price pull back, maybe down to 102.53. But overall, I am expecting the dollar to fall. But like I said, the big question is, will we be pushing up to daily supply first before we continue to go down on the DXY? On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. And if you are liking this video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. All ad revenue generated from these weekly Forex Forecast videos is donated to my local hospice charity. So every like, every share, and every subscribe helps, guys. Let's get more ad revenue to donate. So as far as the euro goes here, beautiful trend to the upside in the daily, pretty much picture perfect on the daily chart. We are reacting off of a daily supply from back here. It's been tested once, twice, almost 3 times. We actually did kind of pierce above the supply zone, but honestly, guys, I don't really call this removed. I'm not going to get into it, but in my opinion, this supply is actually still being respected at this point. So we could expect price to continue to rally to the upside. Now, if you are bullish and you want to get aggressive, we do have a good little 1 hour demand zone down below at 1.089. We definitely could see some sort of move off of this demand zone on the 1 hour chart. It's not amazing because usually when we look for a 1 hour demand zone by breaking a trend line like we have here, we want it to be in an overall daily demand zone, and we don't have that. However, since we do have a daily trend to the upside, it makes this 1 hour demand zone just a little bit higher odds. So that could be our nearest entry for potential long trades. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, we could actually wait for this demand zone down here at 1.08 to be contacted and look for longs down at that zone. This is the more conservative demand zone. It broke a 4 hour trend line, which is more significant than, a H1 downward trend line removed. And like I said, this is more of a deeper pullback. It's kind of a better entry to look for longs at. So a couple demand zones there on the 1 hour and the 4 hour chart on the euro that we could continue to look for longs at to trade with this overall daily trend here on the euro US dollar. On to the forecast for gold. You can see we have a beautiful weekly trend to the upside. I still really hope we can get that pullback down to 22.24. That's going to be a big move down, but it's a beautiful rally-based rally, weekly demand. That's where I'm really hoping we can pull back to. Not really seeing a lot of evidence of that. We did have a daily trend kind of removed here. We're like, overall the trend is up, but right here we are clearly going sideways. We're kind of just ping-ponging between supply and demand right now. The upward trend line is still being respected, but it's just not great. It's not the greatest price action I've ever seen. I would really like to see a move up above this daily supply to really prove that we are going to continue to go up. But in the meantime, guys, we have a 1 hour trend to the upside, and we could basically be looking for longs with this 1 hour trend line, but I would stick to it on a day trading time frame, like a 5-minute chart. So if you're a day trader, 5-minute time frame longs are good because we have a 1 hour trend to the upside. Now we do have a 1 hour supply above at 24.63, and look, these are decent zones. I will definitely agree that it's a decent little supply zone, but there's not really a lot of higher time frame analysis to go with it. The daily supply that is in control up here it's tested, so it's not really that great to look for shorts at that supply zone. However, you could look for a confirmation trade, which means looking for lower time frame demand zones as we come off of this higher time frame supply in the 1 hour chart. And we actually look for confirmation on day trading time frame in the daily market breakdown videos that I release throughout the week. If you guys want access to those forecasts throughout the week, check out the Diamond membership. We have links in the description down below. We have a private Discord group, private video lessons, Sunday Zoom sessions where we discuss strategy so you can find zones like these and take confirmation trades. So we'd be happy to see all serious traders join the team. Links in the description down below. We also have lifetime access available. So like I said, 1 hour trend line up. We could be looking for longs on the day trading timeframes. On the 4 hour chart here, we are pretty much going sideways. It's not that great. We do have a couple supply zones here at 24.40 and 24.58. Level on top of level, we could look for shorts off of these supply zones to the upside. If we break these supply zones and preferably break the high, at that point, it's safe to say gold is most likely going to go up. I'll have a 4 hour demand zone on my chart link for the members. And then if there's a zone here, we could look for longs off of that zone. But in the meantime, I would stick to day trading longs only until we can remove these supply zones here on gold. A little bit tricky price action right now. That's just the reality of it, guys. It's out of my control. Unfortunately, the 2 daily zones we are seeing are both tested. So that's kind of why I'm pointing out both longs and shorts here on gold. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. Remember, the last few months, really, we've had a beautiful weekly trend, and we have finally broken that weekly trend to the upside, and that has created a drop-based drop weekly supply at 156. So look, it's possible we do retrace up to here in the next couple months and react off the supply to the downside. But in the meantime, look, we are clearly bearish here on the end. There's no denying that. If we do get some sort of pullback up to this daily supply 148.51, I like both of these drop-based drop supply zones right here at 148.51 and 152.70. I think they are both fantastic daily supply zones to look for shorts at, especially on looking for a confirmation trade to the downside. Now that's really all I'm seeing is those supply zones short. Not really seeing any reason to get in long. Usually when we have a 1 hour trend to the upside, I don't mind looking for longs, but we don't have a trend to the upside. We have pretty much a sideways market here. We had a trend that was looking good, and we broke below it. So I don't really like it for longs at this point. There is a drop-based drop 1 hour supply that's embedded inside the daily supply 148.62. If you are bearish, again, that would be a decent little 1 hour supply zone to potentially look for shorts at in the end. But overall, guys, we don't really have a daily trend to the downside. However, the momentum is down. We just broke a weekly trend to the upside. So look, I am bearish the USD yen. I'm bearish the dollar overall. We just need to wait for, like I said, significant zones to be contacted on the 1 hour chart, the daily chart, and then hopefully when we contact this daily supply here, we will have a trend line on the 1 hour chart, and once that trend line is removed, boom, that will be our confirmation trade, and we will be discussing that in the private group as well. On to the GBPUSD forecast. Just want to point on the weekly chart here. We do have a weekly trend to the upside. It's not great. I would prefer to see this supply removed and this high to be removed as well to create a higher quality uptrend on the weekly chart. But look, we have higher highs being formed. We have peaks and valleys being formed. So we do have a weekly trend to the upside. However, on the daily chart, you can see we also had a trend line to the upside. And look, we broke below it the last couple days. So it's definitely a sign of weakness. But it could just mean we are pulling back down to this daily demand at 1.259 where we can get a beautiful pullback entry. It is some sort of liquidity trap area here with some sort of support down below. We could look for longs off of that down there at that daily area demand. It's a beautiful rally-based rally demand zone. Now in the lower time frames, we do have some options here as well. If you are bearish, we have a 4 hour supply zone that is with the trend. We are currently reacting off that supply, so we could be looking for shorts off of that supply zone to the downside. I think it's a beautiful little 4 hour supply zone with a nice move away. You could be on a 5 minute, 15 minute, or 1 minute chart looking for confirmation trades to the short side off of that supply. And if you want to jump the gun on longs, if you don't want to wait for that daily demand zone to be hit, I understand. This is aggressive, but we had a 1 hour downward trend line here that was removed by this 1 hour demand zone. Beautiful rally demand at 1.272. We could definitely see some sort of move off that liquidity trap area as well. So this would be our aggressive 1 hour demand zone we could look for longs off of. But if you think we are going to pull back to that daily demand, like I said, this would be our 4 hour supply zone to look for shorts off of here on the GBPUSD. Remember guys, any questions about any of this analysis, do not hesitate to ask. I answer all questions in the comments. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. We do have a daily trend here on the USDCAD. We did pierce above it, but not really a significant move in my opinion. I don't really count that. But we do have a daily trend, but I am bearish the dollar. So this is definitely a tricky little chart right now. On the 1 hour chart, we do have a 1 hour downtrend. I don't really call this a trend line anymore, but the trend line is down. The trend is down rather, in my opinion. So it is tricky, but if we do get a pullback all the way up to supply at the 1.38 area, we could see a move off of that supply zone. That's really the only 1 hour, that's only the only supply zone I'm seeing. We are about to contact this demand from back here. So if we do remove this demand zone, something like this, where we remove that demand, any 1 hour supply zone there would be a potential great setup on the USDCAD. And look, since we have a 1 hour trend to the downside, I think looking for 5-minute time frame shorts is going to be okay. It is counter trend to the daily, but like I said, I'm bearish the dollar, so I don't mind day trading shorts. I'm not a day trader personally, but if you are, we have a 1 hour downtrend. So, you know, in my opinion, 5-minute and 1 minute time frame day trades are fine here on the USDCAD based on that 1 hour downtrend. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar. We are into this daily demand I've been pointing out since basically May. I was really hoping we can get a pullback to it. Unfortunately, we had this massive move down, but again, I'm not really counting these wicks. Pretty much ignoring this as if it's not here. So what I am seeing is a daily demand that's in control with clear profit margin up to daily supply at 0.666. So I'm looking to basically fill in that gap to the upside. And how we could trade this is on the 1 hour time frame. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, we had a beautiful 1 hour trend to the upside, pretty much picture perfect in my opinion. We even had other trend lines here as well. Price action has gotten a little bit tricky based on that massive wick. But look, we had a massive trend to the upside. That was looking really good. And we recently, the last couple hours here, we recently broke this 1 hour trend line. So you could be thinking, damn, that's not looking too great. Honestly, I'm happy to see that. And why? Because we have 3 beautiful 1 hour demand zones at 0.656, one down at 0.652, and the best one all the way down at 0.645. We could be looking for longs off of any of these 1 hour demand zones. Now it could be tricky, right? Because there's 3 zones. Do you really want to be risking, you know, on all 3 zones? It's really up to you. It's really based on your testing. Do you take the first one, skip the middle one, and take the bottom one if we break through all of these? It's really up to you. What you could also be doing is looking for extra confirmation on a 5-minute time frame. Now, what confirmation is basically what you're seeing here. The daily demand was in control down below. We started to get demand zones being formed, and that is our confirmation. So what you could do is on a 5-minute time frame, do the exact same thing that you see here, but on a 5-minute time frame, guys, if that makes sense. Again, ask questions if you do not understand. So, you know, I personally like any one of these 1 hour demand zones to look for longs off of. I do prefer the one that's all the way down lower for reasons that are pretty obvious. Kind of a potential trap setup here as well. Down there, liquidity area, and honestly, this is the best 1 hour zone because it's mostly, it's the one that's nearest the daily zone. But honestly, guys, these are good little demand zones we could look for longs off of. I do prefer this one and this one over this one. Why? Well, there's a lot of trading in this area where there's not that much here and there's barely any here. So I do prefer this one and this one. But again, this is the nearest zone and this is the one that's more aggressive, but it could pay off. But again, it's longs all the way, guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If we, let's say we don't even pull back to that zone and we break the high here, that's fine. Then we could continue to look for 5-minute time frame longs here on the Aussie. And what I like about this chart is looking at the daily chart, we have very clear profit margin, right? So look at the profit margin. If it's over 3-to-1, boom, what a trade. Up to daily supply, where then we could look to take profits or look to kind of bump your stop loss up into the green. Alrighty, onto the USDCHF forecast. You can see on the 1 hour chart here, we have a beautiful 1 hour trend. This is picture perfect in my opinion. We have peaks, valleys, higher highs, looking fantastic. But we don't want to be hyper focused on one time frame. Trading one time frame is very difficult. Although we have a beautiful 1 hour trend to the upside, Where are we trending up into? Well, on the daily chart, we actually have a downtrend, and we are clearly just pulling up to daily supply, where then we could see a move to the downside. So honestly, this is where I think we will be pulling up to, and where the 1 hour trend will most likely end, where then we could look for shorts. So at 0.87 to this daily supply, that's where we could be looking for shorts off of that daily supply. I think it's a great area. And what you could be doing in the meantime is you could be actually day trading long based on this 1 hour time frame to the upside on a 5-minute time frame. I think that is fine. So day trading long, as long as this trend line's holding, is good. But then once we contact that daily supply, at that point, then okay, maybe we hold off on longs and look for shorts or look to take profit. And let's say we hit this daily supply above, we have this upward trend line. That's fine. We could then, once, let's say we hit the daily supply up here, and then we're looking for shorts. We want to see this trend line removed, and then that will be our confirmation to the downside here on the USDCHF. All right, last but not least, the crude oil forecast. Now, you guys know the last couple months we've been pointing out these 2 daily demand zones, and look, we blew right through them. I was wrong. I thought they were great zones. There wasn't really a lot of higher time frame analysis to go along with it, and we kind of bit the bullet on this one, and it's all good. We now have a daily downtrend, so things are honestly looking weak. We are about to pull back up into daily supply at 77.60, so this could be an area where we look for shorts. If not, we have a supply above that's also good at 81.89. So I've pretty much flipped to bearish now, as we have removed both of those daily zones, and that's fine. Like, we have to go with what we have, right? We had, when this is all canceled out, we had 2 demand zones we could be looking for longs off of, and they are both removed. That's fine. We now have 2 daily supplies that remove those daily demands, and that's the chain analysis. So once we hit this daily supply, we definitely could be looking for shorts, and what that will look like is basically the removal of this trend line here. So when we have this trend line, if let's say we hit the daily supply, perfect. Then once we remove the trend line there, any 1 hour supply zone, boom, that would be our confirmation entry on the 1 hour time frame. And that's really all I am seeing. Yes, we are about to break the 4 hour trend line, but honestly, I'm bearish on oil. It could be wrong. I could be wrong. If we break this daily supply, you might have to kind of rethink. We do have 2 supply zones to get through. And look, guys, trading has been difficult. We are in the middle of the summer right now, so price action isn't that amazing. We don't even have a weekly trend. Things are going sideways. Things are tricky. We pretty much have to go with what we have, and right now all I'm seeing is 2 daily supply zones that we could look for shorts off of. So we have to be patient, wait for these supply zones to be hit, wait for confirmation trades, and then pretty much go with what we have. So on oil, I'm bearish. Trend to the downside in the daily chart, 2 daily supply zones. I think they're good for potential short trades on crude oil. And if you guys want to watch the full length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.